In a near future where crime and law enforcement have reached a tipping point, we see a glimpse into Johannesburg's escalating crime problem and the drastic solution: introducing a weapons manufacturing company, Tetraval. The news segments highlight the widespread use of scouts, humanoid police robots that have significantly reduced crime rates. These mechanical officers, designed by a brilliant young engineer named Dion Wilson, are efficient, fearless, and nearly indestructible. Footage of raids and street battles demonstrates their effectiveness in tackling criminals, striking fear into those who would challenge the law. As experts and officials praise the success of the program, it becomes clear that the scouts are the future of law enforcement, though not everyone is pleased about this development. Amidst this backdrop, we meet Vincent Moore, another Tetraval engineer. Unlike Dion, Vincent is a former soldier and believes that artificial intelligence in warfare is dangerous. He has developed his own machine, called Moose, a massive, heavily armed robotic enforcer that requires a human operator. However, Moose has been sidelined in favor of Dion's scouts, and Vincent's frustration is evident. His disdain for Dion and his work is palpable, and he harbors a growing resentment toward the younger engineer's rising status within the company. Elsewhere, we meet Ninja, Yolandi, and America, a trio of gangsters struggling to survive in Johannesburg's harsh environment. They find themselves in deep trouble when Hippo, a violent and unhinged crime boss, demands that they repay a massive debt of 400 million rand within 7 days. Hippo, speaking a mix of English and Afrikaans, exudes menace as he threatens them with death if they fail to pay. Desperate and out of options, Ninja realizes that their only chance of getting the money they need is to pull off a major heist. However, with the city's police force bolstered by near-indestructible scouts, executing such a plan seems impossible, unless they can find a way to neutralize the robotic officers. Meanwhile, back home, Dion is working on a secret side project that could change the world forever. While the scouts are already highly advanced, they lack true consciousness. They follow orders and execute tasks, but they do not think or feel. Dion, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a desire to push the boundaries of technology, has been working tirelessly on developing a fully sentient artificial intelligence. One night, he finally cracks the code, creating an AI that can learn, grow, and even have emotions. Overcome with excitement, he rushes to present his findings the next day to Michelle Bradley, the cold and pragmatic CEO of Tetraval. However, Michelle is unimpressed. Tetraval is a weapons manufacturer, not a research lab for conscious machines. She dismisses Dion's idea outright, stating that the company is in the business of producing security solutions, not fostering artificial intelligence experiments that could lead to unpredictable consequences. Dion protests, arguing that this breakthrough could revolutionize technology and even benefit humanity, but Michelle refuses to budge. Frustrated yet undeterred, Dion decides to take matters into his own hands. Later that day, Dion sneaks into the factory and steals a damaged scout, one that had been decommissioned after sustaining significant damage in the field. This particular scout, Scout 22, is barely functioning, making it the perfect candidate for Dion's experiment. He loads it into his van, intending to install his AI software and bring it to life on his own terms. Unbeknownst to Dion, his actions are being closely watched. Vincent, still bitter over his failed Moose project, has long suspected that Dion is up to something. He sees him behaving strangely, sneaking around the facility, but at this point, he doesn't intervene. Instead, he watches, waiting for an opportunity to strike. As Dion drives away with Scout 22 in the back of his van, he has no idea that fate is about to take a drastic turn. Elsewhere, Ninja, desperate to execute his heist plan, has come up with an alternative strategy. Instead of disabling all the police scouts, what if they could control one? If they had their own robot enforcer, they could use it to carry out their crimes without interference. This idea leads them to set up an ambush, targeting none other than Dion himself. After kidnapping him, they search his van and discover the damaged scout. They demand that Dion reprogram it to obey them. However, Dion tells them that he cannot simply reprogram the machine to follow their commands. It doesn't work that way. Instead, he explains that he is working on something far more revolutionary, an AI that can think and learn like a human. At first, the gang is skeptical, but Ninja sees the potential in what Dion is saying. If this robot can truly learn, then perhaps they can train it to become their perfect enforcer. Forced at gunpoint, Dion installs his AI into the scout, activating it for the first time. As the robot powers on, blinking to life with a childlike flicker of consciousness, Dion and the gang witness something extraordinary: the birth of Chappie. The activation of Chappie is a moment of both wonder and fear. Dion, despite being held hostage, is excited about what he is witnessing. The first sentient robot is coming to life. Later, Ninja decides that Dion is no longer needed and lets him leave. Dion is hesitant to abandon Chappie, but he has no choice. He warns Ninja not to harm the robot and promises to return. Back at Tetraval, Vincent Moore continues to spy on Dion. He knows something is off and decides to investigate further. He sneaks into Dion's workstation and hacks into his computer, discovering that Dion has created a consciousness program. This discovery alarms Vincent, as he sees artificial intelligence as a threat to humanity. The next day, with Dion gone, Ninja takes over as Chappie's teacher. However, they quickly become frustrated by his innocence and lack of understanding. Yolandi, seeing that Chappie is scared, takes on the role of his mother figure. She reassures him, calling herself his mommy and telling him that Ninja is his daddy. This moment is crucial, as Chappie begins to form emotional attachments and recognize family dynamics. Later, Dion visits Chappie in secret, trying to keep his moral compass intact. He brings him paint and books, encouraging him to explore his creativity instead of violence. But the battle for Chappie's mind has already begun. One side wants him to be peaceful and creative, the other wants him to be ruthless and strong. Unbeknownst to everyone, Vincent had followed Dion to the gang's hideout and sees them teaching the scout how to paint. He then drives away but promises himself that he'll get his hands onto the scout's CPU. Later, when Ninja and America return, Ninja becomes furious. He sees Chappie painting and acting soft, which only deepens his frustration. His patience finally snaps. He kicks Dion out of the hideout, shoving him toward the exit and demanding that he leave. Dion protests, but he has no choice but to leave, heartbroken that his creation is now under the control of criminals. After Dion leaves, Ninja looks at Chappie and shakes his head. He tells America that they need to toughen Chappie up and expose him to the real world. He believes Chappie is still too soft and needs to understand how cruel life really is. They throw Chappie into their van and drive to one of Johannesburg's most dangerous neighborhoods, a crime-ridden district where ruthless criminals run unchecked. When they arrive, Ninja and America push Chappie out of the van and leave him alone in an abandoned lot where a group of small-town criminals are hanging out. The moment they see him, they mistake him for an ordinary scout police droid, one of the very machines that have been hunting them down for years. Filled with rage, they attack Chappie, throwing rocks, hitting him with pipes, and shouting insults. Chappie is confused, he doesn't understand why he's being attacked. Just as they're about to destroy him completely, Chappie gathers all his strength and runs away, his body barely holding together. He limps through the streets, badly damaged, lost and alone. Meanwhile, Vincent is putting his own plan into motion. Determined to get rid of Chappie, he has secretly rounded up a few of his ex-military colleagues to help him track the robot down. Using their surveillance systems, they locate Chappie's last known position in the city and pinpoint his exact location on their computer system. The men drag Chappie's lifeless body into their van and drive off, heading to a secure location where Vincent plans to extract his CPU from his motherboard. Once inside the van, Vincent wastes no time. He takes out a sharp tool and cuts off one of Chappie's robotic arms, trying to access the special CPU that makes him unique. As Vincent is about to completely destroy Chappie, something unexpected happens. Chappie's emergency backup system reboots, and he suddenly jumps back to life. In a desperate act of survival, Chappie fights back and kicks open the van's back door and jumps out, rolling onto the street as the vehicle speeds away. Chappie limps back to the gang's hideout, exhausted and in pain. The moment he arrives, he goes straight to Yolandi, who is horrified when she sees him. Yolandi scolds Ninja for what he has done, furious that he allowed Chappie to get hurt. Chappie, still shaken, clings to Yolandi for comfort. Seeing Chappie's missing arm, America steps in. He had stolen a robotic arm weeks ago from a broken scout unit and now reattaches it to Chappie, giving him a replacement. Chappie is grateful but also changed. The experience of being hunted, beaten, and betrayed has hardened him. The next day, Dion is desperate to get Chappie back. Frustrated by Ninja's influence over him, he takes a drastic step. He purchases a gun. Later, Dion arrives at the gang's hideout, gun in hand, but only finds Yolandi there. He demands to know where Chappie is, but she tells him that he left with Ninja and America. Just as Dion is about to leave, Ninja and Chappie return. Dion immediately tries to call Chappie over to him, but something is wrong. Chappie ignores him and walks away. Dion follows, asking him what's wrong. Chappie finally turns to face Dion, his voice now filled with bitterness. He tells Dion that he knows his battery will die in 3 days and blames Dion for creating him with a weak battery. He accuses Dion of never truly caring about him, saying that if he did, he would have given him a way to live longer. Ninja and America have corrupted his mind, turning him against the one person who actually wanted the best for him. Meanwhile, Vincent returns to Tetraval and sneaks into the company's main server room. He inserts Chappie's stolen CPU into the system and uses it to remotely shut down all of Dion's scout robots, disabling every police droid in Johannesburg. With no scouts to maintain law and order, chaos erupts. Criminals flood the streets, rioting and looting as they realize the city is now defenseless. Watching the news, Vincent smirks. He knows that with Johannesburg in ruins, the government and Tetraval will have no choice but to approve his Moose project, giving him the power he's always wanted. Later, Dion arrives in Tetraval, dragging Chappie inside the facility and attempting to reboot his system. When Chappie wakes up, he is confused, unsure of where he is. But then, something catches his attention. He sees a copy of himself inside the lab. Realizing what this means, Chappie understands that he can transfer his consciousness into another robot, effectively saving himself before his battery runs out. Dion disagrees. He believes this is too dangerous. But Chappie is adamant. Before Dion can stop him, Chappie steals a special consciousness transfer helmet and runs off with it, leaving Dion behind. The next day, Vincent's plan is working perfectly. With the city in disarray, Tetraval's CEO, Michelle, finally approves his Moose project. Vincent wastes no time. He quickly suits up, activates Moose, and prepares to hunt down Chappie and his gang once and for all. Meanwhile, Dion returns to the gang's hideout, and warns Chappie about the Moose robots coming to destroy him. He shows him a weapon that he should use to defend himself, but Chappie refuses to use it. However, before Dion can convince him otherwise, Vincent suddenly launches an attack on the hideout using Moose. The massive war machine crashes through the building, opening fire with its machine guns and missiles, tearing the hideout apart. A violent battle erupts. Ninja and America try to fight back, using whatever weapons they can find. But Moose is too powerful. It kills America before he can react. Seeing his friend die, Ninja panics and tries to escape, but Chappie stands his ground, desperately trying to protect Dion and Yolandi. During the fight, Dion is shot in the stomach, badly wounded. Chappie rushes to his side, horrified that his creator is dying. Ninja, filled with rage, finally gathers his courage and lures Moose away, giving Chappie, Yolandi and Dion a chance to escape. But Yolandi gets out of the van and picks up a machine gun and fires at Moose, trying to distract it to protect Ninja. Unfortunately, Moose turns its weapons on her and kills her. Chappie watches helplessly as Yolandi falls to the ground, lifeless. After the battle, Chappie is furious. He now knows that Vincent was responsible for everything. Chappie, no longer naive, hunts Vincent down and storms into Tetraval headquarters. Vincent is caught off guard when Chappie bursts into his office. Chappie beats him mercilessly, throwing him around like a ragdoll. Later, Dion is bleeding out, his body failing. Chappie, desperate to save him, hacks into the company's mainframe and activates the consciousness transfer helmet. Using the stolen technology, he scans Dion's brain and uploads his consciousness into a robot body, just before Dion's human body dies. Dion wakes up inside a new robotic body, shocked but alive. Now, he truly understands what it means to be artificial intelligent. He is no longer human, but he still exists. Realizing the process works, Chappie quickly transfers his own consciousness into another robot, saving himself before his battery runs out. His original body dies, but his mind lives on in a new machine. Now that both Dion and Chappie have become robots, they escape Tetraval, leaving behind the ruins of Johannesburg. Make sure to like and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.